Imagine for a second, you're standing in a motorway service station, it's raining, and you're tired. You just want something quick, something salty to get you through the last hour of your drive. This is the sort of day that Burger King was made for. So you go in and order 3 burger meals for the family. Nothing fancy. Then you see the total, £48. You look at the cashier, hoping it's somehow a mistake, but they just stare back with dead-eyed exhaustion. As you walk away, clutching a brown paper bag that's already starting to go greasy at the bottom, you realize that you just paid gastropub prices for food that was assembled in 45 seconds. This is the new reality of Burger King in the United Kingdom. Over the last 5 years, something bizarre has happened to the home of the Whopper. While McDonald's has fought tooth and nail to keep their savor menu cheap, Burger King has quietly, aggressively, and confusingly decided to become the most expensive fast food chain in the country. They're charging prices that rival Five Guys, Shake Shack, and actual sit-down restaurants, but they're doing it without upgrading the food, the service, or the plastic seats. But surprisingly, Burger King isn't collapsing. In fact, they're actually expanding. They're opening dozens of new restaurants a year and posting higher and higher revenues. This presents us with a massive economic mystery. How can a company treat its customers with such obvious financial contempt and still survive? Let's go back in time for a bit. Specifically to the late 90s and early 2000s, Burger King was genuinely the cool alternative. The burgers were bigger, flame-grilled, and tasted like actual meat. They built their entire brand on being the adult fast food. The marketing was aggressive, the portions huge, and crucially, the price was competitive. It was always a bit more than McDonald's, but that gap was justified by the quality difference. You paid 20 pence extra and you got a pretty decent burger. That was the social contract they established between them and the British public. But somewhere around 2015, that contract was shredded. The fast food landscape in the UK changed fundamentally with the arrival of the better burger wave. Five Guys landed and showed everyone that people were willing to pay 10 or 15 pounds for a burger if the quality was there. Five Guys cooked to order and gave you a mountain of fries cooked in peanut oil. It was expensive, but you could see where the money went. Burger King looked at Five Guys and learned the wrong lesson. They saw people paying 15 quid and thought, we want some of that. They decided to reposition themselves as a premium fast food brand. But they tried to do it without doing any of the hard work. They kept the frozen beef, the pre-cut lettuce, and the chaotic service. They just changed the price tags. In many town centers and local high streets, Burger Kings are vanishing. The old stores that stood next to the cinema or the shopping center entrance are closing down. But zoom out and look at the train stations, the airports, and the motorways, and you see them thriving. This is the captive market strategy. Burger King has realized that they cannot win a fair fight. If a customer stands in a city center with a choice between McDonald's, Five Guys, Tortilla, and Burger King, they'll rarely choose Burger King. The value proposition just isn't there. So they've stopped fighting fair. They've retreated to places where competition is impossible. When you're at Kiel services on the M6 at 8 p.m, the rules of capitalism do not apply. You're hungry and tired, you have screaming kids in the back of the car, and you cannot drive 5 miles off the motorway to find a cheaper option. Burger King knows this. The operators of these motorway service franchises know this. In these locations, the price of a Whopper isn't determined by the cost of the ingredients and whatnot. It's determined by your desperation. This is what economists call inelastic demand. It means that no matter how high they jack up the price, you still have to buy it because the alternative is starvation. That £48 receipt we talked about, that came from a place where you have no choice but to spend. This explains why the quality is so inconsistent. In a normal restaurant, you have to be good because you want the customer to come back next week. You need loyalty. In a motorway service station, the customer is a one-time transaction. You will probably never see that specific family again, or if you do, it'll be in 6 months when they're trapped again. There is zero financial incentive to make the fries fresh or to clean the tables quickly. There is, however, a loophole. If you're a savvy consumer, or perhaps just broke, you might have noticed that if you pull out your phone, stand directly in front of that counter, and open the Burger King app, you can often get an £11 Whopper for £6. This is the two-tier economy, and it's one of the most cynical pricing models in modern retail. Burger King has effectively split its customer base into 2 distinct classes. Class 1 is the data subject. This is the person willing to download the app, create an account, share their location data, and opt in to marketing emails. This person gets the real price. The price that the food is actually worth. Class 2 is the walk-in. These are your tourists, your elderly person who struggles with smartphones, your busy parents who don't have time to scroll through offers, or simply the person who believes that buying a burger shouldn't require a login and password. This person pays the lazy tax. They pay nearly double the price for the exact same product purely because they tried to transact in the traditional way. The menu prices you see on the board are anchor prices. Their only job is to be so shockingly high that when you see the app deal, you think you are getting a bargain. You think, wow, a Whopper for £3, it's normally $7. This shift to app-based pricing does something else too. It kills cash. Fast food chains hate cash. Cash is slow, requires staff to count it, and can be stolen. By making the app deals so much better than the counter price, they're aggressively pushing everyone towards digital payment. So why is Burger King so willing to trash its own reputation for a few extra quid? To answer that, you have to look at the top. Burger King UK is owned by Bridgepoint, a major private equity firm. Private equity firms operate on a very specific timeline. When they buy a company, they are on the clock. They generally want to sell it or float it on the stock market within 5 to 7 years. The goal is to maximize the valuation of the company within that window. They need the numbers to look incredible right now. They don't care if the brand is hated in 10 years because by then they'll have sold it to someone else. This ownership structure explains every baffling decision we've discussed. Why are prices so high? Because they need to pump up the revenue per store figures to show growth to potential buyers. Why is staffing so low? Because cutting labor costs boosts the raw numbers. Why are they expanding into new sites even if the old ones are crumbling? Because new store openings is another key metric. They're extracting every ounce of value from the Burger King brand name by trading on 50 years of goodwill. This is why they don't mind the complaints or the Reddit threads mocking their prices. As long as the revenue line on the graph goes up, the strategy is working. But the people who are suffering the most under this model are the people running the restaurants. Burger King, like most fast food giants, operates on a franchise model. This means that individual business owners pay a fee to run a store, but the pressure coming down from the top is immense. These franchisees are facing skyrocketing UK energy bills, surging costs for beef and oil, and a hike in the minimum wage. While a healthy corporate ecosystem would typically step in to absorb some of the pain, the private equity model ensures that the demand for profit is relentless. So, the franchisees are forced to cut corners. That's why you see stores with only 2 staff members working a Friday night rush, why the ice cream machine is always broken, and why the dining area is closed off early. This creates a vicious cycle. The corporate office demands high prices to show revenue growth, which drives away customers, which in turn means the franchisee has less money to pay staff, so the service is terrible, driving away even more customers. Burger King is becoming the W.H. Smith of food. They're settling for being the place you end up when everything else is closed or too far away. Bridgepoint is betting that they can keep hiking prices and cutting costs long enough to sell the problem to someone else. Maybe they will, but the damage they're doing to the brand is permanent. But what do you reckon? Is the Whopper still the king of the high street, or has it officially become a zombie brand just waiting to die? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the dark side of fast food economics, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss out on the next video. Cheers for watching, and we'll catch you next time.